The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. So I went to college at the United States Coast Guard Academy, which I've mentioned before on the show. They have a couple of sayings about the Coast Guard Academy. The first saying is, it's a good place to be from, but not a good place to be, which is pretty depressing. They have another saying about the Coast Guard Academy. They say it is a $200,000 education shoved up your ass a nickel at a time. Now, it's a military academy, and just like West Point, Navy, Air Force, it's same thing. It's just smaller. Okay. And it was tough. It was legitimately tough, but not for the reasons you might think it was tough. Like when people think of military academies, they think of push-ups and obstacle courses and swimming and all that stuff. Yeah, I did all those things. I did, millions of push-ups and obstacle courses and swimming and all that stuff. That's not the tough part. That's not the tough part. A military academy is a very depressing place. It's relentlessly bleak, especially in New London, Connecticut, where it's not sunny very much and it's just kind of dark. And, I don't know if this is true of the other military academies. My experience with the Coast Guard Academy is that it was like Lord of the Flies. Nobody was in charge. Okay. Now you have this command structure. So the cadets have this chain of command. There's a regimental commander, then there's a regimental executive officer, then there's battalion commanders, then there's company commanders, then there's platoon commanders and squad leaders, and there's this whole structure. It's this whole chain of command. Above the cadets are the company officers. So there's 8 companies: Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf Hotel. Each one of those companies has a company officer, which is a lieutenant, which supervises the cadets. In practice, the company officers don't really do much supervising. They're sort of caught up in their political games, trying to get promoted. So really, the cadets are in charge. And like I said, it's Lord of the Flies. So, I happened to like the military environment. I did. That was the whole reason why I went there. I went there for a summer program the year before. It was called AIM, which is called Academy Introduction Mission. And they have high school seniors, and they basically do like basic training with them as high school students. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Push-ups and screaming and yelling and marching in formation. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I love this, and I want to come here. So what I didn't really realize is that isn't really what the academy is all about. Okay. And, at some point you stop being a 4th class cadet, which is a freshman. You stop being a freshman and you become a sophomore, and then you're not following the rules. You're enforcing the rules. So like I said, it's kind of like Lord of the Flies. The cadets are enforcing the rules or not enforcing the rules. And there's kind of this culture of not enforcing the rules. Everybody has to keep their uniform in top condition, their room in top condition, shine their shoes, stuff like that. And there's this culture where if somebody enforces the rules and tells somebody to buff their deck or make their rack or something like that, then you become the bad guy. Okay. And you're not cool. You see, a cool cadet is somebody who's just kind of laissez-faire, and they say, whatever, no big deal. If you actually enforce the rules, you're not cool, you're a bad guy. And they had all kinds of bad names for people like that. So I wasn't one of the cool cadets because I enforced the rules. And people thought I was a big jackass. Now, you have a ranking class. Just like any other college, you have a GPA and you have a ranking class, but at the Coast Guard Academy and other military academies, the ranking class is computed a little differently. The grades account for 60% of it, but then 30% of it is military performance and 10% of it is physical fitness. You have to take a physical fitness test every semester. So 30% of it is military performance. Well, what does that mean? It seems kind of subjective, maybe subjective. I don't know. I mean, it's not super subjective. I mean, there's, very objective criteria you can look at. I mean, it's like all the things I described before. It's your uniform, the creases in your shirt, how well you shine your shoes, your brass, the room, buffing the deck, your leadership skills. I mean, you can sort of quantify all these things. Now, the military score was determined by three things. And one of them was performance reports. So if you were a member of a squad and your squad leader gave you a performance report, that went into your score. The second thing was your company officer grade. So the company officer gave you a score, which was just totally arbitrary. And it was kind of odd because the company officer often didn't know the cadets because they were off doing their political games and they didn't really have a basis for judgment on who was good and who wasn't. Nonetheless, they got to give you a score, and it was a forced distribution. The third thing was something called interpersonal effectiveness. Okay. So what you had to do was you had to rank all the other cadets in your company based on some criteria. It was never really explained. So, I mean, you would think it would be based on military performance because this goes into your military grade. So you would grade them on their shirts and their shoes and their room and stuff like that. But really, in practice, it turned into a popularity contest. And the popular cadets got the highest scores and the unpopular cadets got the lowest scores. So the last 3 years I was at the academy, I was ranked last every single time. Last. What? DFL. Dead last. Okay. So that's a tough pill to swallow. That's kind of tough when you're 19 years old and you get this score back and you look and your rank is 36 out of 36 and you're like, yeah, people don't like me. It kind of sticks with you, And the reason I was disliked is because I was not one of the cool cadets, is because I enforced the standards. And I wasn't very nice about it. I was kind of a jerk, but it shouldn't really matter. Shouldn't matter. So now, don't you think it's odd that the guy who's dead last in the popularity contest goes on to be very financially successful, extremely financially successful? Don't you think that's odd? And that's kind of an indicator of how screwed up that place is. The culture. Like, there's something very wrong with the culture because the type of person who succeeds in that place could never succeed in the outside world. And the type of person who fails in that place is wildly successful in the outside world. So it's just upside down. It's backwards. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up now, and I could have talked about this at any point in the last 2 years I've been doing the show. The reason I bring this up now is because I'm being asked to donate money. Okay. Because it's our 25-year reunion, and at the 25-year reunion, typically the class gives a class gift, which is substantial, and they're trying to raise $250,000. So I got the call today, and what I said was, look, there's 223 people in our class. I'm willing to contribute proportionally to the class gift. So if you divide 250,000 by 223 people, that comes out to $1,120. Yeah, I'll do my part. I'll contribute $1,120, and that's what I'll donate. But I'm not going to write a $50,000 check. Not a chance. Because I will not donate to a cause that is antithetical to my beliefs. And, so what did I get out of the Coast Guard Academy? It would be one thing if I said that the school was responsible for instilling values or giving me a great education that benefited me later in life. It wasn't true. It didn't. In fact, I have spent the last 25 years unlearning all the things that I learned there from a bunch of different respects, and particularly when I was on Wall Street in terms of risk management. Because my attitudes towards risk were all screwed up. I was very risk averse, and I had to learn how to take risks. So, what I learned at the academy was actually not functional for what I was doing in my career. So the one good thing, I mean, there's other good things, but one good thing that I got out of the Coast Guard Academy is time management skills. Because as a cadet, you have a lot of things on your plate. You have athletics, you have military, you have school, you have extracurricular activities, and you have to juggle all these things. So it made me very good at time management. And also, that's where I acquired my cynicism, my legendary cynicism, which also serves me well in this job. But I'm not going to say it was a good experience. It was probably some of the most unhappy years of my life, you know? I actually had a professor once who told me that I would never amount to anything. And he felt sorry for my commanding officer, my first commanding officer out in the fleet. I also almost got kicked out. I had a suitability for service board. I have very unpleasant memories of that. That's where they decide if you're suitable for service. And I was actually provisionally kicked out of the academy. And I spent 6 months in a probationary period. You know, I just did not fit in that place, and it wasn't fun. There were some bright spots. I had a great writing class senior year, which turned me into a writer. My writing professor was awesome, but that was outweighed by all the bad stuff. And, you know, I'm sure I'm going to get the call. You know, somebody's going to come back to me at some point and ask for more money, and the answer is going to be no. You know, I could go on about this. It's actually worse than you think, but I won't. But I feel strongly about this. I like to give away money, but to causes that I care about. I gave a lot of money to my high school, and I give a lot of money to cats. And as you know, I care very deeply about cats. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.